Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner is with us now. He is vice chair of the Senate Intel Committee. Senator Warner, did you hear anything that to your ears was new tonight?
No. And a matter of fact, before I start, as an American, not as an elected official, I was embarrassed that the President of the United States went before our whole country and networks like yours carried this as news, as opposed to a rehash of falsehoods. And it is incumbent upon you and any responsible journalist to push back on these falsehoods. I've been either chairman or vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee for the last decade.
If I may, on that point, since you raised it.
If I may just finish, sir. If I may, sir, finish, sir. If we don't call into question these falsehoods, this president is he's going to lose a free and fair election. And unless responsible journalists and the American people step up and say, our system, which has stood the test of time, is not going to be undermined by this kind of falsehoods, then, we all will have to live with those responsibilities.
Senator, what I wanted to interject is you are calling for context and analysis and pushback. You are on the show right now giving it and acting as though it's not happening. So I just want to underscore that the reason you're on is because we agree, you and I, that this is a vitally, vitally important topic, and the president has a terrible track record on it, as we said at the top, and as we've been trying to buttress and fact check and give context and analysis for throughout.
Where would you like me to start on the level of falsehood, just incredible lies? Let's start with the initial comments about China and 2018-20. All of this took place under Donald Trump's administration. His current CIA director was the director of national intelligence. We have 18 intelligence agencies. They all collect information from thousands of sources every day. Their job is to do an honest analysis of what's true or false. They came to a complete conclusion that while there's efforts by governments, he mentioned China a lot. He didn't mention Russia, which wanted him to win, or Iran, which was against him. They try to dissemble and put out propaganda. They try to amplify on social media in many ways. That did not change any votes. The efforts to try to actually interfere did not change any votes. That was the conclusion driven by the Trump administration, national intelligence leaders, that was presented to Donald Trump on January 7th. Now, 5.5 years later, he's making these baseless claims. Virtually every document he has cited, the Intelligence Committee, in a bipartisan way, has seen and reviewed. If there are individual analysts talking to each other that were not part of a conclusion, we'll look at those. But the whole notion, as I mentioned earlier, you get thousands of inputs. The job of the intelligence community is put these together and come up with a conclusion. And what has been so, just makes me crazy is that we've seen in this administration over the last year, when people speak truth to power and tell the truth, for example, the general that was in charge of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he said that, hey, when we first bombed Iran, their nuclear sites, we did a pretty good job, but we didn't obliterate them, as Trump said. He spoke the truth, he got fired. We obviously didn't obliterate him since we're still at war with Iran. When he talks about the idea that somehow these countries are gathering voter files, these are publicly available. You don't have to hack into them. You can buy them.
So, Senator...
I've never seen a comments like this from a president of the United States. Doesn't matter what party. That's nothing to do with party. That is so less connected to truth than this. And if we don't step up, and you guys as journalists and people across the political aisle stand up and say our election integrity is too important to mess around with, then shame on all of us.
Senator, what I hear you saying on the 220 million voter files that the president says China has accessed is that those are public documents and that's not a big deal. I hear that answer. I can tell you this. Russia has probably got more. Iran has been doing it. Russia's done this much more actively for years. And and for both 2016 and 2020, he forgets to admit the fact that Russia wanted Trump to win. Iran, to his credit, was against Trump. China was kind of mixed. But, this is not some great breakthrough that
other countries, and virtually
Senator,
every American company that tries to reach out to Americans buys the voter files to contact Americans.
Senator, on the other point the president is pushing about non-citizens on the rolls, he extrapolates out to 250,000. The actual number was 28,000. Whatever the number is, do you think either one is true? And does it concern you?
Do I think that when people are registered to vote, that people are not qualified to vote, get registered at times? Yeah, but at any level, the idea you're going to extrapolate a number across the country, and many people, there was a review on one of these that said, some of these people that said they were non-citizens because the national database they use at DHS is outdated. Most of them actually had become citizens. So this whole obsession about non-citizens voting, this has been reviewed by your network, by independent groups, I believe even by Fox, that have said, does anybody slip through? But is the numbers significant? Does anything change or affect any election? Show me any legitimate group from left to right that says that takes place. And the idea that somehow, this is the part that I just would ask you to please look into. There were so many things, and this is the irony, that were set up in the first Trump administration to protect our elections. The Foreign Malign Influence Center, the CISA Cybersecurity Agency, the Elections Assistance Commission. Donald Trump's team in his second administration has dismantled all of these. Recently, he took the Elections Assistance Commission and fired the Democrats, forced the Republican to resign, and that group was to work with all of these states and their local registrars on how we do better protections. Yeah. One of the greatest strengths of our system is that our elections are not nationalized. They are local and state-run, and that goes back to the Constitution, and that has been a strength of ours, not a weakness.
Senator, I appreciate you coming on. I think this interview has been a strength of ours. Thank you for your time, and I know you'll be talking more tomorrow and to Margaret on Sunday. I appreciate it.